Guys, it's Charlie giving you Wednesday's video, and this week we're looking at position sizing and some ideas around increasing position size. We've been discussing this in the trading room just recently, and you're trading along and you get to a point where you think, okay, I'm now ready to increase my position size. So let's say you were trading at, let's not keep this nice and simple, £1 a point, and you're now ready to increase your position size. Now, where a lot of people go wrong is they'll go from £1 a point, let's say, to £2 a point. Now that's a big step up because you're increasing your position size by 100%. So all of a sudden, what's going to happen is as soon as you increase your position size as well, Murphy's law usually kicks in. So the very next trade that you take at the new position size is always going to be a loser, isn't it? It's always Murphy's law kicks in. So all of a sudden, the loss seems that much bigger than what you're used to. So the first rule of thumb is only increase your position size by small increments. So only do it by small increments. So if you were at £1 a point, if you can then increase it to £1, let's say 25 per point, then do it that way. Now some brokers, you can't break it down that small, so therefore go from £1 a point to maybe £1.50, but whatever, keep it in small increments. It enables you mentally to adjust to the new increased position size. So that we'll come back to that in a moment. So the first thing is only do it in small increments. I've had people over the years go from the equivalent of like £1 a point and then go up. They say, oh yeah, but I've got £30,000 in my trading account, and then they go to £10 a point. And even though in percentage terms it's still trading, they're still trading relative to the size of their overall account, but they're not used to it, and then they can't handle it, and they don't like the increased size. They start banking their profits that bit sooner, or if it has a loser, then that seems that much bigger, even though in percentage terms relative to the size of the account it's absolutely fine, but they can't handle it. We'll move on to that shortly. The second point is do it only a maximum of, I would say, 4 times a year, 4 times yearly, a maximum of 4 times yearly. I wouldn't recommend increasing position size any more frequently than that. So why? Because again, mentally, it takes our brains a while to get used to the new position size. Even if you're going from £1 to 125 a point or whatever, allow your brain to catch up and get accustomed and used to the new levels. So, and generally speaking, that would take about once every 3 months. It would take about 3 months just to get used to it. And so I'd say about 4 times a yearly maximum would be the amount of times that you would want to increase. Now, of course, some people say, well, why don't you just trade at if you're trading at 1% of your capital, then naturally your position size is going to increase with that. But that's not always that easy, because your account goes from 10,000 to 10,100. You can't always just increase your position size absolutely precisely on that level. So generally speaking, it's easier just to incrementally say, oh, okay, well, my average now is going to go from £1 a point to whatever. I find it's that bit easier doing it that way. So generally speaking, you allow your account to grow, and then you say, right, now I'll increase my position size because now it works out that on average my position size can go from £1 to £1.25 or £1.50 or whatever. And a lot of the time people, remember, are trading well below their maximums. So they might have put, for argument's sake, £10,000 in a trading account, but they're not even trading at 1% risk of that. So, but they may say, oh, right, I feel like I'm ready to do that now. But even when you're ready, I had an example a few years ago of a trader who had been trading with £2,000 on a trading account, and then they had plenty of money, put £40,000 into a trading account, and then decided to just say, okay, I'm going to now trade with my 40,000, and so I'm now going to trade at 1% at risk on my £40,000 trading account, and all of a sudden had all sorts of issues because they weren't mentally prepared for the new position size. So even if you've got the capital there, that brings me on lastly to the third point. You need to visualize. You need to visualize the new amounts and get your brain used to those new higher amounts. So even if you've got all of a sudden you've gone from 2,000 to 40,000, well, it doesn't, just because you're still trading at 1% at risk doesn't necessarily mean that your brain's ready for that. So you need to visualize, what are the losses going to look like? What are the winners going to look like? Because otherwise, as soon as you get into a winning trade, all of a sudden you'll be thinking, oh wow, I'm up £300. You may never have been used to being up £300 in your previous trading, and all of a sudden you start snatching at profits, saying, well, that's nice, I'll take that. But the problem is you're trading at a new position size now, and if you don't allow that trade to run to its normal logical conclusion, then that £300 isn't going to pay for the losers when they come along as well. So you need to visualize what the winners are going to look like. If those winners on average are going to start looking like, £500, £600, £700, whatever it is they're going to look like, start visualizing what they're looking like. And that will help stop you from snatching profits when you're only up £100 or £200. Okay, so you visualize the winners, but also visualize what the losers are going to look like as well. So if your average loser is all of a sudden going to be, for argument's sake, I don't know, £300 or £400, visualize that. So that again, you're already prepared mentally for the new position size and for what both winners and losers are looking like. There's just 3 tips for you for increasing position size in this week's video.